Hey, what's going on, everyone? Back with another iteration or the second iteration of my mini amends or tiny amends, or I don't really know what I'm going to call it yet, but I'm working on it. It's a working title. Today we're going to be discussing Chinese OEM knives. And, in this day and age, if you like knives, if you collect knives, there's no way to escape kind of their presence on the market. And, by and large, they do really great work. A lot of times it can be strategic where US designers will send their designs over to China just because they are so good at doing what they do. That said, after kind of thinking about this topic for a little bit, I split Chinese OEM companies into three different categories. The first one's going to be clones. We're not going to be talking about those. So copies of US knives, for instance, a Strider clone that's made in China. Some people kind of sleep at night or buy them under the guise of trying out that style of knife until they can afford the real thing. I can say without a doubt, those clones or copies do not hold a candle to the real thing. And they also kind of serve to, it's basically Chinese companies stealing intellectual property, designs, etc. So just not a good way to go. The second kind of Chinese OEM knife that I want to discuss is kind of the middle of the bell curve. And like I said, we see a ton of these. So this can be companies like WE Knives, Reich, Riot. So these are legit companies that make really great stuff. They're machining, like Lord knows. I kind of have a little array of some of the Chinese OEM knives that I have. I also kind of want to foot stomp that I think it's very easy to be like, oh no, I'm only going to buy American knives, American made, blah, 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 all this other stuff. And I think at the end of the day, we need to look at ourselves because we're all hypocrites, right? I mean, like I'm filming this on an iPhone, whether iPhone, Android, whatever you have. Everyone's kind of hypocritical and no one is buying exclusively American stuff. If you are, you're not watching this video because you probably live on an awesome ranch somewhere in the middle of nowhere and don't have any connection to the outside world. So that being said, like I don't think you can discount what Chinese OEM companies are doing. They're definitely putting together some really, really nice knives. And that second category there, whether it is WE Knives, Reich, or Riot, which are producing knives for US designers, which that's going to be our third one. I just kind of wanted to foot stomp though with that middle ground, that Chinese OEM, Reich, Riot, WE Knives, etc. I have to say, and I kind of came to this conclusion when I was, reviewing this Custom Knife Factory Evo 3. This recipe of Chinese OEM knives the market is flooded with them, right? So you take a really nice US steel. So this is or not US steel, but so say this was like, M390, like Crucible, whatever. You take a really good US steel or just a good steel in general. You put really nice titanium handles on it. You throw, some skiff bearings into it. And that coupled with just the very high attention to detail we see in Chinese high-end knife factories, it's going to be a winning combination every single time. And so that's where I think we see the value of those OEM Chinese manufacturers, OEM Chinese knives. That's where they really make their mark and shine. Now, the third column that I put Chinese OEM knives in are going to be the US design, but Chinese or Taiwanese manufactured knives. And as much as y'all don't want to hear it, I don't know. This is kind of a funny one to me because what we do is we see a tried and true recipe. It can be the J Cape, the Quiet Carry Drift, this Custom Knife Factory Evo 3. What we see though is we kind of, when you get US or foreign designers that sprinkle in like exclusivity and drops and these hype beast knives that are made overseas, the price of those knives goes dramatically up. Again, this one as it sits right here, made by a Chinese OEM company, went for $670. And to me, that's just like, I hold it and I'm kind of like, I mean, It's a really nice knife. I think if it was made in the US, like you could be like, okay, wow, yeah, the fit, finish, quality, etc. is phenomenal. But then I pick up something like a Berg Iron Wolf, which realizing that a company like Berg does have customs that, they make in the US. There really isn't anything that sets these apart as far as fit, finish, the feel, the quality of it, or even the recipe. Titanium scales, bearings, good steel, boom, send it. But this knife costs a third of what this one does based on high pricing, designer, I guess, something like that. So just kind of keep that in mind. Like I think we're very quick in, today's knife world to kind of overlook what we're looking at, and we just kind of blindly buy like a drop, oh, get it sight unseen, we need to buy it, whatever. But keep in mind at the end of the day, like these knives like are kind of a dime a dozen. Like the Chinese, the high-end OEM factories have this recipe down to a science. So before you go dropping multi hundreds of dollars on these things, like kind of be thinking through that. The one kind of exception that I would like to bring up with that though is going to be Demco, and I had reviewed a Demco 80-20.5, which is made in Taiwan, and then I subsequently have gotten two 80-20s, this being an S, and then another full send Demco that are made in Wampum, Pennsylvania, and the build quality is clear. Like I mean, they're night and day. They may look the same, but the quality, the hand feel, totally a different beast. You could take off Wampum, Pennsylvania, give me, 5 Taiwanese ones, give me 5 that are made in the US. I'd pick the US ones every single time without a doubt. I know that for a fact. I've had 2 Taiwanese ones, 3 US ones now. I can tell you that with clear eyes. So that's kind of my thoughts. I want to keep this rather brief, but with Chinese OEM knives, like they're a dime a dozen right now. The recipe's there. It's a success for sure, but let's be a little bit cautious before we take something like the J Cape or the CKF on a drop that's way more expensive than it should be, and we're just blindly paying. So hope you all are doing well. This would be, we're concluding my second Mini Amends. So thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time.